Welcome to Women Making Waves, you guys. I have one of my best friends here, Ashley Nicole Williams, and she is the trip director for, this is a dramatic pause, Biden for president. We are so excited for a chance at life. But let's talk about Ashley because she's had an incredible year. Ashley, last year you graduated business school and law school within 2 weeks of each other while traveling with VP Biden and managing his travel operations. How is that even possible? How did you manage time and commitment to very different avenues?
So first off, I'm so excited to be doing this with you. You are my best friend. We have been friends for so long, and it's exciting to be able to just have a conversation that'll bridge some of our friendship and our life experiences together
Yes,
in sharing our stories. So thank you for doing this and giving me a platform and so many other women a platform.
of course.
Um, but okay, so my law degree and my master's degree. So I started my master's degree first back in, gosh, I guess it was 2015 while I was working at the State Department. And I was at a place in my career, I just needed something to do. I had always planned to go to law school, but law school obviously requires a full-time commitment. I mean, you can go part-time and work during the day and then do it in the evenings, and some schools have programs like that, but I was definitely in a place where I wanted to make sure that I was still working but stimulating my mind in a different type of way. So I started this master's program at GW, where you could get your master's in political management. It's a part of their master's of professional studies program, and
Mhm.
enrolled in that. And then a year later, well, I guess that fall, I actually applied for law school to enter in the class of 2016 because the administration was coming to an end. I knew that law school, like I said, was something that I wanted to do, and I applied. And I actually had an interesting law school journey because I had applied previously twice before on different occasions. And
Mhm.
for whatever reason, I like to say it was God in his timing. I
Mhm.
didn't get in the first time I applied, and the second time I only applied. The first time I applied to like 5 or 6 schools, but it was right after the 2013 inauguration. And the second time I only applied to one school. Um, and the third time I applied to 6 or 7 schools, and I got into every school. So it definitely was meant to be when it was. And so
Yes,
I
God's
entered,
plan.
it was God's plan all the way. So I entered law school 2016 that fall, left my job that summer at the State Department. I put my master's program on hold because up until from when I applied 2015 until that point, I had been doing my master's program. But I wanted to focus solely on law school that first year. So I did my just law school that first year, fall of 2016, going into 2017. And then I picked back up my master's program that summer, 2017. And I continued with the program during my second year and actually finished the program in the fall of 2018, my master's program, while I was studying abroad in Tokyo, and then graduated in May of 2019. So law school scheduled to graduate May of 2019. I'm like, as I'm telling you the story and reliving the timeline, I'm like, well, so law school, I started fall of 2016, graduated May of 2019.
Mhm.
And I designed my law school program so that first year is pretty standard. You have your required classes you have to take. I went to Penn Law, and it's a great program, super collegial school, one of the most collegial, if I remember correctly. And so that really helped out because that could turn to my classmates, and if I needed an outline or everyone would share information and notes, and so it wasn't a place where I felt the competitive nature and edge. So it was allowed me the ability to focus on other things that I enjoyed doing since I had a
Mhm.
career before going into law school, right? I took six
Right.
years off in the time we were at Georgetown and starting school. So um, that having said that, going into my third year, I studied abroad that fall, and then I always was kind of around with the Bidens just because I worked for them in the White House.
Mhm.
And so it continued, I kept in touch, and, I didn't know what they were going to do. Obviously, like, I wanted them to run because I believe that he is the best person to lead this country after this president that we have now. And he's the only person who can restore the soul of this nation and really build a better future for us, for our kids, and change a lot of the things that were undone by this administration, but also improve upon the things that he and President Obama did during their time.
Mhm.
So when he announced that he was running, I was actually in my last semester of law school. It was April 25th. That anniversary is actually coming up this week, I guess in 2 days, on Saturday. And he announced that he was running, and I accepted a job to be the trip director for the campaign. So I started April 25th. I ended up graduating May 18th from the master's program and May
Mhm.
20th from the law school program. So there was about a month overlap of time in which I was having to just make sure I had all of my I's dotted, T's crossed with regards to law school, and just making sure I didn't have any other administrative things I needed to do for my master's program, since I had technically finished that in the fall of
Mhm.
December of 2018. But interestingly enough, the day of my master's program graduation, I actually debated not going to the graduation because I was working so much. And I also should say the master's program I did online. That's actually a really important piece because they had the ability for you to go and do it in person, but because of my
Mhm.
schedule and everything else, I opted to do it online. And there was definite interaction, assignments due every single week, working closely with professors. But I the online option worked best for me and like what I was hoping
Mhm.
to get out of it. And so the day that we launched the campaign on April 25th, but we did our official campaign kickoff rally on, guess what date? May 18th.
Graduation day.
Yep. So I was like, there's no way I have to be here for the campaign kickoff, right? Like, I can't miss this day. And, one thing that everyone knows about, and I shouldn't say everyone knows, but a lot of people know who have worked for the Vice President and Dr. Biden, but also just I think people and Americans are getting a sense to see family is super important to him, and being making sure that you're not missing those moments with your family is
Mhm.
also just as equally important. And so those big life moments, and so graduation falls under one of those moments. And so he would have been understanding, like, absolutely, you need to go to your graduation. Like, this is a big deal. But I was just like on the fence. My husband also was like, you got to go to your graduation. You have to go walk at
Mhm.
graduation. And I'm calling him my husband. He was my husband at the time, but he is my husband now.
Yes.
Because that's another thing. We like got married last year, but that's a whole
Oh.
other story.
Oh.
um,
Yo,
two like
I'm like reliving this with her
I know.
because and my
I was
head
like,
is spinning trying to follow this timeline, and I was there in person.
yes, you were there. You were there. So anyway, I we did the campaign kickoff in the morning, and because the graduation was that evening, there was a chance for me to get from Philly to DC. So as soon as the event ended, Fred was there. We hopped in a car to get to the train station and hopped on an Acela. I changed into my cap and gown and my dress, like touched up my makeup, everything in the Acela bathroom, like curled my hair again, all in the Acela bathroom, which, I mean, train bathrooms are not the cleanest at all. I was like trying to position things so that stuff didn't fall or touch stuff, because I was just like, whatever. But I mean, anyway, literally ran from the train station to a cab to go and meet my parents and my sisters who were at the graduation. Oh, and Fred's mom, who were already at the graduation location. Actually, they were at a hotel. I stopped by the hotel first because they needed to give them their tickets. Yeah, I had the tickets. So it was like rushing to give them their tickets, and I'm rushing to go line up so that I can walk at graduation. And it was the best decision that I made. It was crazy and chaotic, but I'm so glad that I listened to Fred and, you know, my family and everyone in doing it because it was important. And like sometimes we forget to acknowledge and kind of give ourselves a moment to be proud of what we've done. And in doing that, like it was good to do. And then 2 days later, well, that very next day we took a train back to Philly with my family and his mom, and we had law school like commencement activities there and like a cookout at the law school, and then we went to we had the graduation on Monday the 20th, and we did that graduation, had dinner, and then I was back to work on the 22nd.
Wow. Okay, so no one can actually really say that I'm so busy and it mean anything, because like I've known Ashley since college, over 10 years now. And we both attended Georgetown undergrad. So we are in the heart of DC. I was blessed to be there during Obama's inaugural years, both terms. And so being a person that may not be the most political or into politics, like you're naturally drawn into it just being in that atmosphere all the time. And so when Ashley went to work for Dr. Biden and one of my best friends was gone all the time, I kind of got interested in policies and what was going on. Then trying to talk to her, you can never get her because she's got this official secured line and then you can't have it for too long. And I'm just like, this is crazy. But she always handles it with grace. And she's like a political person herself. Like her sisters and I are pretty polarized. And Ashley's like always trying to bring us to the middle on whatever we're trying to fight the cause on. So Ashley, I have to ask, and I've never asked you this before, even though you're a lawyer by trade, do you have any interest in politics? I feel like you could do this.
No. Like, when you say politics, you mean running for office, right?
Running for office, yes.
No, I do not have any interest in running for office. Growing up, I would run for office in student government or, be involved, but I like to be behind the scenes. I enjoy
writing policies.
So interestingly enough, and this is kind of, I can talk about like a little about my role. So I don't enjoy the policy side of it so much as I like to just have my hand in everything, which as a bestie is totally like fits my personality, right?
Yes.
What I do now is as trip director is make sure that the logistics of from the moment that the vice president leaves his home to the second he returns, everything is coordinated, and that reaches into a bunch of different places. It could be something on one day as simple as making sure that the car that we're in is going to the right destination. I mean, it's little things that you just don't think of, especially because these days, like we go in Uber and we put in our Lyft or whatever, and we put in our phone, the address, and we just go and we just hop in the car and we don't pay attention to it. But, we don't do that. So it's like making sure that the actual directions for where we're going it's set. And so it can be something that seems small, but is actually really big for that. To making sure that the like speech that he's going to deliver is like loaded into the teleprompter, and that he actually is able to read it when he goes out onto the
Mm-hmm.
stage because of the lighting, and making sure that it's a secure area um, for the people that are coming to the event, as well as for him. You know, making sure that you know, when asked, you know, if he asked me like who is on this program, that I'm able to tell him who the individual is, and you
Mm-hmm.
know what their background is and why they're a part of the program, like what the overall goal is or the objectives of like why we are doing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And so I like it because it's a diversity of tasks that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, you know. And ultimately it is ensuring that from point A to point B things are as smooth as they can be, but there's a lot of legwork and a whole team of people that help make that happen. The term that we use in politics is advance, and so every time that he goes somewhere there's a team of amazing staff who have been on the ground, who have been the eyes and ears for everyone, for me,
Mm-hmm.
for other colleagues that are based in headquarters, who give their sense and their judgment on like what they think makes the most sense for his movements, and how we flow through an event. And they are the ones that have the relationships on the ground and really are the heart and soul of ensuring that things are successful. And so I depend heavily on them and trusting them, to, you know, let me know like what makes sense and how we
Yeah.
can execute great events for him. And so it that aspect of it where, you know, it could be, you know, again, something that seems like, man, like that just doesn't seem interesting at all, but it's like making sure that we get to where we're going to, um you know, like meeting interesting people and being a part of like conversations. All of that is super interesting, to me, and
Mhm.
it gives me a perspective that, you know, I don't think I would otherwise get, for myself. You know, I think other people could, but for myself, I don't think I would otherwise get if I were just focused on one singular thing.
Right.
Um, and I think that's just the nature of how my mind works. But I really enjoy just being able to be in the midst of everything and get a whole range of perspectives, and then I learn more as well,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And that's for me ultimately like what I enjoy the most. I love learning. I love becoming better, at what I'm doing. And so the politics side for me goes as far as just being able to help however I can,
Mm-hmm.
in making change, but through the lens of, you know, someone who I believe in,
Yeah.
who is trying to make that change.
So I really want to touch on this point. So you're saying how much you're learning, and while working on the Hill, I remember like the hours you put in and the cost of doing that. The barrier of entry for that opportunity is so high. Can you talk about the initiative that you have been working on with other women from the Hill to lower that barrier, and award this opportunity to other people?
Yeah, so I have to give all credit to one of my good friends, Disha Dyer. She is an amazing, Black woman who is really charting a path, that I think we all can learn from. She was the social secretary at the White House. She started at the White House as an intern and worked her way up to the level where she was essentially the gatekeeper for any and everything event wise at the White House. And it's just a genuinely good person, and I'm sure she would like want this to be known, a Philly girl. But she recognizing that, and before I say this part, she has also dedicated her entire life to uplifting causes and bringing attention to issues that sometimes are overlooked, but are just real
Mhm.
issues that need to be addressed, and works creatively to figure out something that can just alleviate a burden on some population of people. And so as a Black woman, she has been super, super invested in other Black women and other young Black men and women as it comes to them being able to break through their barriers as it relates to a field in politics, and specifically on the Hill, or in other policy or public policy political internships. And so last year she launched Black Girl 44 Scholarship, and got a group of Black women, Obama administration officials together, and basically pulled her resources to create a scholarship for young women to be able to take advantage of an opportunity on the Hill that they may not otherwise be able to do because they didn't have the money or they didn't have resources. I mean, it is expensive to live in DC, as we know. And if you are working in an unpaid internship, or even if you are getting, it's a paid internship, a minimum apartment, like for a studio minimum, is going to probably run you somewhere between $1,700 and $1,800. And and then you're getting into like which area of town are you living in, and so there's so many factors at play, and that's just for your rent. And so if you're talking about, they say that the cost of your rent should be only a third of your income, right? Like you need to be making something crazy, like over, if you're paying $1,800 a month, that's like what, 50, I shouldn't even try to do this.
58 to 60,000. Yeah,
it's like it's you're getting up there. And so all that to say, she started this scholarship and really allowed us to come together and support a vision that she had, to support young women who are just wanting to go out and make a difference, and may not have felt like they, this could be their big break, but why should they be denied the opportunity to pursue that just because they don't have the resources? And so she's in the process of figuring out how we can expand it and grow it. In the meantime, she just announced another initiative, which is focused on reaching out to students who are impacted by what's happening now, because they're no longer able to be at school, and specifically seniors who are graduating this year who aren't going to have the opportunity to graduate like they had hoped, but have an interest in public policy or politics. And it's called Call and Response, and we're just going to basically mentor these students, young African-American students, and talk to them about our perspectives and let them know that it's going to be okay. And it's little things like that which can just make all the difference in the world for someone who is probably scared right now. Like, what does this mean for my career, for my future? So.
Well, Ashley, thank you so much. I don't know if any of you all are looking for a career in politics, but Homegirl didn't even scratch the surface. So I will put Ashley's.
This was so fun.
Yeah, I know. It happened so fast. We're out of time. But that just goes to show, like, there's so much to talk about. She just scratched the surface. I kind of want to get you on here for a part 2, and I just sprung that on her, so you don't have to answer her. But
well, it's time. There's nothing but time.
There's nothing but time right now. Exactly. So I'll put Ashley's information in the bottom. If you know a Black woman looking to get into politics, getting an internship, or like she mentioned, the students who just need mentorship right now because of the space that we're in, contact Ashley because we have time. She's willing to help. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. And I think I need to get all the girls that are women that you have doing this, and we need to figure out who's going to interview you so you can tell your story.
Oh God, let's give her some time. This is what she does. Like, I put her on the spot, so she's gonna put me on the spot.
Yeah, our friendship in a nutshell. Yeah. Anyway,
Thanks,
thanks.
Ash.
Love you.
Love you too.